Hey, what's up, guys? Colin K. Batts from the Power Rangers Extended Universe, and you're watching Action Activate. Omega Access, SPD Emergency.
Hey, I know that guy. Do you know that guy? Because it's me. It's Gazbot. I'm here for Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot, and this is Action Activate, then with me as always,
it is I. It is the Big Dog. Also here today, though, I'm the Red Keeper Dog, and you're the Go-Go Gazbot Ranger, because we're talking about episode 2 of Go-Go Loser Ranger, which we have watched and are about to review.
Yes. Now, I watched it. I watched the first 3 episodes, 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
So I am a little bit rustier on it than probably you are. And the distinction between what happens in 2 and 3 is fuzzy for me. So we're going to put it up and kind of go through the episode, but I'm going to let you lead the charge a little because I don't want to accidentally give spoilers.
Yes. So what we see in this episode is a little more world building. Duster D is kind of in the weeds now with the Ranger organization. He's finding out, what's going on. We find a little bit more about the world where each Ranger has their own battalions, as you can see here. Very SPD-esque, which is kind of cool.
I thought this was interesting here because he's in human form, but he's sweating, but we know he's essentially made of sand or dust.
Mm-hmm.
So is he... I guess my question, obviously, even though he's made of sand or dust, he can become exhausted. So that's established. Then the question is he actually taking the effort to make his person, his human visage, make little droplets so that he knows he looks tired and human sweat? So he's doing that? Or is it an automatic, all-encompassing thing?
I thought when I watched this scene that he was pretending to be more tired because he can't really get super tired, I believe.
Why do you say that? Why do you and this isn't a spoiler, I don't know the answer. Why do you assume he can't get tired?
Because we see later on, we're going to jump around a little bit, just full transparency. Later on in the episode, when one of his friends, whose name I don't remember, finds out that he's a duster, she continues to behead him, and he just keeps getting up over and over, and he only stops not because he's tired, but because he's like, okay, this is kind of pointless. Let's talk this out. He doesn't get winded or anything like that, at least from what I could see.
That establishes that he can't be destroyed in that manner, and that it's more of just an inconvenience for him. But I guess I thought it's different to exert yourself, moving, fighting, whatever. And again, this isn't, I don't know anything you don't know at this point, but I guess I assumed that getting his head cut off wasn't a big deal. That's part of his power set. Cyclops could blast lasers at his eyes. That doesn't make him tired. If he runs, he'll still get tired. That's kind of how I took this, that he was genuinely tired, but was he taking the effort to manufacture sweat drops on top of already being
That's
tired?
what I saw. I thought he was trying to fully blend in. Later in a little bit, we see him at lunch, and he's like, oh, I think I got this figured out. And he's just using a fork and knife awfully.
Well, then the other question, though, is, are those drops... Well, I guess pieces of them can come off because, they land on the ground. And
don't get lost in the weeds. I do really like this intro, though. I did want to point that out. I think...
intro to the characters or the intro to the episode?
Intro to the anime itself.
Okay.
I thought it's cool. I like the transitions for it. I have been appreciating anime a bit more, and that is something I like, where I don't feel the need always to skip the intro when I'm watching certain anime, whereas...
I misunderstood. You mean the intro credits and song. Yes. I thought you meant the introduction to this world, to this character, to this part of the story. Gotcha. Fair, and I'll say almost every anime I've ever watched, I think, has a good intro. They don't all, but all the ones I've watched seem to,
I feel, and granted, we're on episode 2, I feel like I'm going to last longer not fast forwarding through it than I would for, say, a typical Power Ranger season.
just like with Power Rangers, I think for me, if I'm binging it after an episode or two, I'm going to start skipping it. But if I watch one every week or two, I'll probably always watch the intro because it's been a week.
That's fair. This character's cool. Again, totally forgot her name. But this episode, she does a good job. She's part of the Yellow Battalion. I really like her and kind of her subtleties throughout the episode. Then at the end, we, find out she's a little smarter than she lets on, which I thought was a good little twist.
I also like that he meets these two people that are like, oh, you should join or whatever. And they're so different because he's all like, hey, everybody, it's great. You're my best friend. And she's sort of like, what's this guy doing? And even visually, like her eyes are almost black and his are like bright green and like they're very, very different characters.
And that's the guy who tried to recruit him in the first episode, which is also notable.
Yeah. Oh, and then he gets really close and starts cracking his skin. He's like, we're fragile.
Yeah. That I thought was a cool thing because that's obviously going to come into play for a lot of this series, which I thought was cool while he tries to be undercover. Go back one frame. Looking at their costumes, I don't get the weird codpiece jockstrap diaper thing, but whatever.
It looks like bondage gear.
Yeah.
If they were pilots, you could somehow justify it that it like hooks into straps, and like if they were like Gundam pilots or X-Wing pilots, like I could see that being part of something else. I don't know that they ever show, because it looks like it would hook into something or equipment would hook on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ever show them using that. So
at least not yet. We'll reserve judgment, but
yeah. I mean, it could just be a thing of like, oh, wear these weird outfits if you want to, like a hazing, like a fraternity, just like this is what you got to do, like, and the people who invented the outfits intentionally made them weird. Like,
I am further cementing my love for this design.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's absolutely great.
It's so great. I love it.
And when they put out a figure art or whatever, it has to have multiple faceplates with all the goofy expressions and.
Yeah. I'm curious if they'll make the shoulder plate swappable.
Okay, this isn't good for the fans, but if I was in charge of the business and making the money, I would make D, and it's just D. Then I'd have other Duster body, and now I'd have a couple swappables. Yeah. And then I'd have his buddy, the heavier one, I forget his name. F. So I'd have D and F, and then generic. Yeah. So that, like, you kind of had to buy 3 if you wanted a bunch of them, but I would make it so that, D would be its own thing. And they'd have different faceplates. Like they'd be essentially the same, but have different paint on the faceplate.
I love how they use the light on the visors to show how menacing this Ranger team is.
Agreed. And it's just cool looking too.
Yeah. Just super menaces.
This is where they're looking for D, like what, and they're playing good cop, bad cop, where, the blue one's like, you did this, you're all evil betrayers. And Red's like, no, look, hey, he betrayed you like he betrayed us, buddy. I get it. Yeah. And it's realistic in a weird way,
I could see potentially going back when the English dub comes out and watching some of this with the dub.
I could see watching like the first episode just to see what they did with it. Maybe
I actually heard through the grapevine that one of the Hyperforce Rangers is going to be the pink red keeper or the pink keeper on the series.
Oh, the Strawberry. Dub. I mean, that's not a real name, but it was the Pink Ranger from Hyperforce.
Either pink or black, one of the two.
Okay.
I didn't watch Hyperforce, which is the only reason I can't super differentiate.
Well, I'm sure anyone that's interested could easily look that up, and we're not going to.
Nope. Carrying on again, super emotive. Love this stuff. I love how also in this series, especially this early, they're doing that cool title shot for everybody as we get introduced to them to help that world building and help the hierarchy of the kind of Ranger squads.
Yes, and I mean, we're not that far into it. These two could end up being major characters, but right now they're nobodies. And it is less about, oh, remember this character, and more like you're saying, like the hierarchy and which squadron. They might turn out to be important characters. Maybe not, though. It's still just, I like also, like I said, the good cop, bad cop, but they also did that thing, which is like a political maneuver we see in our own world, whether it's countries or like a school, where it's like, oh, somebody messed up. And we're going to use that as an excuse to take some of your freedoms or put in new rules or make things. So it's like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to pretend like I'm on your side and we don't want this to happen again. So our buddies are going to stay here to help you. And it's like, they don't want, that's not something they want, but what are they going to do? Argue? Like, so.
The designs in this, chef's kiss. Going through watching it, I don't notice some of the subtleties as much, but going frame by frame on that,
I love. It looks like teeth almost.
God, everything about it's great. And yeah, Blue is a menace.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Blue to really have even worse kind of episode to show how bad Blue is, because I could just tell that Blue is my call shot right now. And
Yeah.
granted, you've only watched one more episode than me. Red is the ringleader. He is the homelander of the group. Blue is by far the worst, like done the worst things. Green is chaotic. And then I don't know anything about Yellow and Pink yet, other than they are also bad by association.
I don't know more than you really. This is not a call shot. This is more like what would be interesting is if Blue, because he has these scars, right? But they've established that they're more powerful than their enemies, even the bosses. Now, yes, he could have got that in a battle with the bosses, or maybe before, like in a war that had nothing to do with this. But I would like it if it was all an affectation. Like he's not that guy. Like they're fake, or he did it to himself, and he's just kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do now, guys? Like when he's out of costume. I would love it if he was absolutely not the guy they're making him out to be.
Oh, he is that guy.
How do you know?
I hope.
So much of what they are is an act. I would love it if even their personas are an act, and he's just like, oh, I'm going to play the crazy, like tough bad cop guy.
See, I don't think that's true, because later on we learn that the Rangers are kind of like in regular Power Rangers that we know, a team that has a rotating roster, it seems like, because when we meet some of the Red Battalion later, they're like, I'm going to be the next Red Keeper. And you're like, oh, so this isn't permanent. Got it.
Yes, but well, that doesn't, I don't see how that disproves. Well, see, I don't even want to call it a theory, because I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. It'd just be a cool thing that I'd like to see happen. I'm not proposing it as a call shot or a theory. Just like, hey, wouldn't this be neat? But what you just said doesn't make what I said impossible at all. Because if he was the new one, if he took up the blue mantle, he said, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be this crazy guy, like.
It actually did make it impossible. You said it. It's not going to happen.
But here's something else. And again, I don't know more than you about this specific scenario, but we see that there are people in training that want to be the next, oh my God, the keeper. What are they called? Keepers?
Yeah.
The next keepers. We don't know if there were keepers before this team. This might still be the original team.
Oh, I don't think so.
We don't know that. I'm just saying what facts that we know. This team exists. Were there members before? We don't know. People believe they can ascend to this. That we know. We don't know for sure that people can ascend to this. And the way they're setting up to be kind of like this not good political theater thing, I could see it being a thing like, oh, anybody can have this. That's the dream. Just keep serving us, and one day it'll be you. Like that could all be misdirection and manipulation of their own people too.
The thing that we need to keep in mind as well is we know that Red has revealed his identity. We don't know if any of the others have publicly.
Right.
Yeah. But let's keep going. We got stuck on this scene, even though visually
there's that chair, which we still don't know anything about.
Yep.
Noticing.
F
him eating badly.
Yeah, F started saying some stuff earlier. He's not about it, but yeah, right here we get to see Duster D at lunch, trying to be human, failing miserably. Thankfully, the two people he's with either totally know or totally don't realize because they're oblivious.
This is where they're talking about all the community service they do. And this guy's just like, yeah, you got to be with us. And doesn't he say something like, I'm not. No, what does he say? I don't remember here. Because he wants to join.
Yeah. One thing to note too, that's mentioned later is that he is in he's in a white, meaning like colorless uniform. Mm-hmm. So at some point you get inducted into a battalion, I guess.
Yes,
like,
you're right. This might be this episode or next episode, maybe, but that is brought up. That it's like
it's brought up in this one when they go see the Red Battalion.
Okay, yeah.
When he infiltrates, yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of, but I couldn't remember if it was this one. The kid's like, oh, hey, you guys are cool. Let me get a picture, whatever. And he is such a true believer. He's like, whatever else is going on, whether they're good, evil, bad, whatever. He's like, I'm buying this. I believe it. We're making the world better, kid. You and me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's cool seeing the three different takes because it's Duster is on a path of revenge. Mm-hmm. The guy with the red hair thinks, he's drinking the Kool-Aid. Everything's good. Ignorance is bliss. And with Yellow, I think she doesn't have a grudge, but she's more angling for things to benefit her that just align with D.
Maybe. I mean, she has an agenda. Let's say that.
At the end of this episode, she proposes to Duster D that they should team up and try to take down the Keepers.
Yes. Now here the kid's like, oh, look at this picture. They're so great. And he stares at the picture and turns into the guy.
Yeah.
Which, okay, a kid sees it and a kid could, say whatever, like, and they're not going to believe him. But I'm like, did no one else notice this?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. It was very bold. Love the garrison right here. It looks really sick.
I also love that it makes no sense. Like, what are those gears on the outside of the building for? Who knows? Fine.
Machine Empire homage. Who knows?
Yeah. And then he's like, ha ha ha. And now that's D.
Yeah. We go through this. He acts weird. She's like, yeah, whatever, because she knows that he's, a terrible doing the do. That guy's interesting. I have a feeling I'm going to love to hate him.
I mean, they're certainly setting him up to be that. And there's this whole theater of like, I have to give this directly to Red because he's like going to confront Red, kill him, whatever. And he's like, I am Red. And it's this thing. He's like, wait, is it? I don't know. And he doesn't know. And he's just being an idiot. And Yellow, like you said, knows who he is, but it's kind of letting him flounder and just see what's going to happen. And then eventually saves him. And he was going to pull out a dagger, right? He's like, I got a dagger.
Not even a dagger. He has like a steak knife with him. And she's like, I guess.
It's it's admirable because like his pluck, but you've seen him get wasted on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And so that like you're not really a physical match. And it's like this steak knife. Why would you think that would even work? It's like he's so delusional.
So a lot of back and forth, a lot of is he gonna get found out? He doesn't. But again, cool world building subtly through the dialogue of like, I'll be the next Red Keeper. Right. You gotta join a garrison, you're just in all white, like we're the best. He tries to, one of the red guys tries to like chest puff to Yellow, like, you should join us. She's like, nah, I'm good. And then we find out through a poster, like, this is the Red Keeper. He is bold and lets us know exactly who he is. That's cool.
And he's right. And then he doesn't know who D is, and he's just some underling, but D's like, here's my moment. And then he finally opens his mouth. He's like, ha ha ha, I loved you in the fight, sir. Really?
Googly moogly. And then here we get a little reveal of she's like, I know this. I think is really cool. I love how it oddly works.
And that could be if they come out with a whole set of figures, that's an easy swap to do too.
Or if they just come out with that guy, bonus head if you pre-order or something. I don't know.
There's the steak knife where she's sort of like, is this what you thought you were going to get him with?
And then she's like, just beheads him a million times.
Yeah.
And then we get a little more exposition here. They're called away. The, golden retriever friend of theirs comes
they
in.
Also talk about the different duties each battalion has. Like Red is like, we're going to go take care of threats. That's our main, they're like the police. Yeah. And then others are about research or other things. And so Red is who is called when a monster shows up. And so a monster shows up.
And it's F, who I'm a little bummed because I really liked F.
Yeah. And they got these like laser gun things. Excuse me. Yeah. And I don't know what his plan is very similar to D's plan, but worse.
Yeah.
like I'm just going to somehow defeat them, but not even being secretive about it.
And then we find out a really interesting thing. So keep going forward and I'll talk over it, but before this episode it was the Dusters are around because they can't be destroyed, and every Sunday they fight and they do this whole song and dance about it. And then this episode F goes out and it's like, well, clearly nothing bad's gonna happen. It's like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen. We have the divine weapon. Well, what's the divine weapon? Well, apparently it's the MacGuffin sword that makes Dusters disappear.
And they don't use it in the battles. They use weapons that won't destroy them. And the implication is that actually, it's not even an implication. They show it, don't they? Where each one has their own weapon.
I don't know if they show each one. They show his being red, and I didn't know if it was one that gets passed around. It would make sense they all have their own, though.
I mean, that might be a spoiler, or I might be misremembering.
If it's a spoiler, it's fine. It's not a huge deal. It's we know at least one MacGuffin weapon exists. Right. If there's more, then there's more opportunity for them to be used.
Right.
And also, this makes more sense to how they got rid of all those generals in like less than a year, where it's like, we got the MacGuffin sword, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Dance number.
But overall, I'm really liking this. I think it's solid. I really like the world building. Aesthetically, it's phenomenal. Story-wise, it doesn't feel too rushed. It doesn't feel too slow. Like I'm really,
my worry. I think I said this after episode 1, and I'm 3 in now.
Yeah,
they are all maintaining that like urgency of like, ooh, what happens next? Ooh, they introduce new things, and it's that perfect mix of they're not introducing too much where I'm losing track and like when are they going to pay this off? And it's just like the perfect balance of everything.
Yep.
And I'm like, can they keep this up? How long is this series going to be? Because there've been a lot of shows in general, but anime also, where like the first couple episodes, the first half of the first season, I'm like, this is great, and then it hits this spot where I'm like, what are we doing? I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And so I just hope they can keep it up because the first 3 episodes are definitely at a good pace.
The good news too is there shouldn't be any filler for a while if this continues, because I want to say they're on they're on volume like 12 or 14 in the manga, so there's still some time and some padding with that story, but overall really solid. Looking forward to episode 3 and beyond. Were there any final thoughts you had on it?
Yeah, not on this episode, but a comment on the last one. We were talking about the figures and custom figures and stuff, and somebody actually sent a link to this eBay auction with a custom figure, $65, which for a custom figure is not that unreasonable. And at a glance, it's fine, but this is kind of, and I'm not trying to slam the person who made it. I didn't make it. It's better than I could do, but it looks like a custom figure.
Yeah,
you can tell that it's made that way. I think it's made out of a. Yeah, you can kind of see the morph where they painted over. I like that it's a cloth thing. Now, if I really wanted one and I had the money, like maybe I would get this, or one would get this. But being who I am, this would never satisfy me. I would always be wanting an official one, no matter how good this is. But if you want an unofficial one, there is one. This is Pizzatron at $65, which I think for what it is a reasonable price.
Yeah.
There might be more out there, but this is the one they sent me a link to. And when I did a search a minute ago, it came up again. So I think this is the only one really.
I could see this being a thing where, let's say you're at a place like, I don't know, Power Morphicon. You're walking around and you see this on the table and you look, you haven't really got anything, and you're like, show special.
Yeah.
$50. You know what? I do like this, and maybe they'll come out with one eventually. If they do, I'll upgrade. But here you go.
That could happen. And that's true of a lot of things. Like, we're both toy collectors. You could tell me, obviously, and Big Dog talks about it. There's a lot of toys. Not that he doesn't have figures, but you can't see
I do. Okay, hang on. You keep talking.
No, well, you pull them up every now and then, but I have a pile behind me no matter what's going on. There he is. You're just at the wrong angle, buddy. I do low-key regret not getting that spider buggy, and I know it's probably still available for some price, but
they have a different one. It's a little bit bigger without the electronics, and I think it's still pretty cheap.
Yeah, if I had my Spider-Man shelf more together, I'd make a point of getting it.
Yeah. But I have toys. That was the bulk of that.
What was I going to say?
Oh.
Yes, but there are figures that I don't plan on getting, and then it's like, I haven't bought a figure in like 2 weeks, and I'm in Target, and this is the 5th Target I've been to, and I got $30, and I see a figure and I buy it. Not because it's like my top figure, but like I just want to buy a thing. So yes, if I was at a convention and I hadn't bought anything, because usually I go to a convention with the idea I'm going to buy something, then yes, I could see ending up buying that. But I would much rather have a figure arts, especially also.
100%, 100%.
This is so skinny. Like, I also feel like if I was gonna get a custom one, and again, I'm not slamming Pizzatron at all, but I would not want it made out of a Lightning collection. I'd want it made out of a figure arts because they're that smoother, kind of thinner.
I like both.
Well, I guess that is kind of like with like Transformers putting different series and different form factors. Like, they have this sort of generic legacy line now where they'll take and make them fit, or they'll take like Star Wars will put Rebels figures or Bad Batch figures in the main line. I feel like that's what that is. That's D if he was in the Lightning collection, and that's fine. But I want D skinny, more cartoony, fluid looking.
I think the ideal scenario is Bandai makes an SH Figure Arts of it, so that way D can be the unofficial member of Akiba Ranger.
There you go. You heard it here, folks. That's canon. Until next time, I've been Gazbot.
I continue to be the big dog. And to the power. See you guys later.
I almost hit end recording, but I need to hit end credits. So you were reading. What's that?
You cut out. What were you saying?
Before we started recording, you were talking about manga you're reading. That's like kind of a parody of John Wick. What's it called again?
Sakamoto Days.
Sakamoto days. Okay.
Or wait, let me. I'm pretty sure it's that. I'm gonna pull it up just so I'm not, getting flamed in the. Sakamoto days. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Did I ever tell you about that movie Keanu?
Yes.
The Key and Peele movie. Did I ever tell you about when I saw that?
No.
Well, the short version is I saw that movie because I liked Key and Peele's sketch show and stuff like, oh, they have a movie. And Key's like, yeah, they have a movie, but it's this thing where they lose their cat. And it's like, oh, they lose their cat. That's great. That's hilarious. And I watched it and I enjoyed that movie. It had kind of the humor I liked, and it was this ridiculous action movie about people trying to get revenge for their cat. And they called it Keanu because they like Keanu Reeves. And then Keanu Reeves does the voice of the cat. I'm like, what a good get. That's wild. This is such a bizarre, out of nowhere movie. I loved it. A couple of years later, I watched John Wick, and I'm like, oh, that was a parody of John Wick. Had no idea when I saw it. I thought it was just random. I thought it was just a random guys wanting to save their kitten that's Keanu Reeves for some reason.
That's cool. I did not know that, but now that makes me want to see it more.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, well, I didn't really spoil anything.
I'm also less of a cat person than you, though.
True, but I didn't go to see it. I went to see it because it was Key and Peele. And then the fact that there was a cat in it is probably just bonus. But
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, but it is a parody of John Wick, which I would say is a spoiler, but only if you didn't know anything about John Wick, like I didn't at the time, because anybody that even remotely knows about John Wick would go, oh, clearly this is a parody of John Wick.
Yeah, I feel like if I watch it, it'll be like, oh, yep, that's where it is. But speaking of anime, before we go, this is now officially the bonus section. We talked about Kaiju number 8. We both know about this much about it, but we know that one of the characters is a kaiju and has a figure of it. My question to you, if you were to you and the audience, if you want to comment and let us know, because I'm curious too.
Okay.
If you are to get a figure of that, would you put it with your Godzilla monsters or in a different place?
Not knowing anything about it, I feel like not knowing anything about it, I don't have Evangelion, but I feel like that's where it would go. Failing that I don't have any Evangelion, I would probably put it with my Ultra Heroes, but the more modern ones, like Zero on up. That's where I would put it. Yeah. Now, if I watch it,
this is going to be really funny if it's a human-sized kaiju and not a monster-sized kaiju.
It very well might be, but I would still put it with Ultraman because there are many Ultra Heroes that start at normal size or can become normal size.
See, I would put it with an Ultra Hero of that size. That would make the most sense to do that.
Oh, the Shin Ultraman neck suit one?
Are you talking about, one of these bad boys?
Toys?
I know. This guy's pretty
That's
dope.
very shiny.
I'm excited. But if you want to talk toy stuff, tell us and we'll maybe talk about it, or don't and we'll still talk about it eventually.
If we were going to do another anime, maybe that, like, if we catch up on this one and if we decided to do another anime, that may be a good one to look at. I feel like there's people that might want us to get back to Mystic Force, but they're not watching these videos.
I mean, if you really want us to go back to Mystic Force over what we're doing, comment below and we'll read it. No,
but I just think we have a fan base of Power Rangers fans that anything we do that isn't Power Rangers, just don't watch it, which is fine. But I do. Yeah, that's all. This is long. Goodbye.
Yeah.